Some people find that grief doesn't follow the timeline they expected. Months pass, years pass, and the feelings are still there, sometimes softer, sometimes sharper. If that's you, you're not behind. You're not failing. You're human. Grief has a way of settling into the quieter corners of life, resurfacing when something touches the memory of what was lost. It can become part of the way you move through the world, not because you're stuck, but because the love and meaning behind the loss still live within you. Is something wrong with me because I'm not over it? Nothing is wrong with you. You're learning how to live with a space that will never be filled the same way again. Grief doesn't disappear on command. It reshapes itself as you grow, appearing in moments you didn't expect. What you're feeling isn't a flaw or a failure, but a reflection of how deeply you loved the one you are missing and how much that connection meant to you. And learning to carry that love in a new form takes time, patience, and a gentleness with yourself, giving your heart the quiet space it needs to adjust. You might wonder, is it normal to still feel this way years later? Yes, grief isn't a timeline, it's a relationship, and relationships don't end just because time passes. The bond you had doesn't disappear, so the feelings connected to it don't simply fade on command. Sometimes the ache softens, sometimes it returns in waves, and sometimes it sits quietly in the background of your life. None of that means you're doing anything wrong. It just means the love and meaning behind your loss are still part of you. You might ask, why does it feel like everyone else has moved on except me? Often people carry their grief quietly. You're not the only one still feeling it. You're just the one brave enough to acknowledge it. And sometimes the silence around you isn't a sign that others have healed faster, but simply that they've learned to hide their hurt in ways you haven't had to. Many people are still grieving too, just privately, in their own way, and moments that no one else sees. And the truth is, everyone moves at a different pace, shaped by their own memories, their own losses, and their own ways of coping. Your grief process cannot and should not be measured by a time scale. How long does grief last? In my experiences, I've learnt that there's truly no single answer. For some, the grief becomes a soft background hum. For others, it returns in waves, on anniversaries, birthdays, or quiet days when the world slows down. Sometimes it rises quietly, triggered by a familiar scent or a favorite song, or a moment that echoes what once was. And often it lingers not because you're holding on too tightly, but because the love behind it still has a place in your life. Grief changes shape over time, but it doesn't vanish on command. It simply becomes another part of the story you carry. If you're carrying long-term grief, you don't have to hold it alone. Some people find comfort in bereavement charities, community grief groups, faith-based support, or online spaces where others truly understand what it means to lose someone. Support doesn't have to look one particular way. For some, it's talking to others who've walked a similar path. For others, it's simply knowing that a safe place exists when the feelings rise again. And if there's something you'd like to ask me about any of the subjects I speak about here, you're welcome to contact me, Jules, at aftertheserviceuk@gmail.com, and I'll do my best to respond to you within 24 hours. I'm not a trained counsellor, but I can share honestly from the places I've been in case it helps you feel a little less alone in where you are now. Grief can feel isolating, but you don't have to navigate it in silence. There are people, communities, and resources ready to meet you exactly where you are, gently, patiently, and without judgment. Thanks for being here in the listening room, a place where silence speaks.